Hi, it's dark, as you can see. I can make it brighter, but it's late and I don't want to. 1010world, this is directed to you because I'm just reading your comment now on a thread that we had about on the video piracy is bad and I'm a bad person. Okay, so let me read your comment. I already read it through once, but I want to go over each of the points. You said, I agree. People can bargain back and forth about what is right and wrong, and people can discuss which set of religious or moral beliefs are correct. Since people also struggle with different physical or mental disorders, treating everyone equally would create a very unequal society, and having a central group of people who get to dictate what is right for someone else can definitely be destructive. How can I or anyone, even with years of studying psychology, know what it feels like to be you in X, Y, and Z situation? It's impossible. Yeah, so that's sort of what I was saying exactly. The interesting thing is that there exists a set of rules or principles for humans in society that, in general, are more functional, causing less violence and chaos than another set of rules, just as there exists certain behaviors that draw some people closer or push some away, but they do different from person to person. The fact that those principles have been extracted and vocalized is quite extraordinary for a species in general. And I do agree. There are sets of values that in general are better for the human race, but it is just merely a generalization. It's hard to say for certain what is good and what is bad, and I don't think in every case there is an optimal solution. Well, I should say there's not an optimal solution that works for every case. You gotta live life on a case-by-case basis most of the time. And these generalizations aren't, even though they're a good foundation, it's sort of, it's not like a very solid, hard and fast thing. If you really want to do the right thing in every situation, I would say we need to think about it a lot. But even then, even if you think about it for forever, it's for yourself. The decisions that would benefit you, or the decisions that you ought to make for yourself. It's even with a ton of thought, it's hard to come to solid conclusions because living is quite unintuitive, and doing the right thing is also sometimes unintuitive. But we have instincts that guide us somewhat, and intuitions. So that's sort of what we rely on a lot of the time. So yes, I agree. People are immoral by their own standards. That's a good way of putting it. So if we don't have some common principles that go beyond our instantaneous desires or our own morals, we could have the potential to ruin our lives and to drag someone else down with us, e.g. by law, an electrician with a diploma is permitted to do things that a self-taught handyman can't do, even if his will to do it is strong. Let me restart. E.g., by law, an electrician with a diploma is permitted to do things that a self-taught handyman can't do, even if his will to do it is strong, knowing that there is a risk he could mess up electrical installations, burning down the building. So law is a type of compromise, e.g., I don't get to do whatever I want, but I am guaranteed some safety in society, and I can always contract the police if I need help. I can't know if there exists an all-seeing, all-knowing entity that opens or closes doors in life based on intentions I choose to have, but I do believe that something exists. There you go, Google. Add my personal beliefs to your system to your database. Yeah, I get that Google thing. I do believe that there is something as well, though it's purely secular. I believe part of it is psychological, and it's dictated by your own conscience, subconsciously. Like if you do something bad, you know it's bad in the back of your head. You're going to alter your behavior to maybe compensate for it somehow. But also, like, I have this conception of reality where everything is connected like a huge graph, you know, like a graph in mathematics where there's a bunch of nodes and edges connecting those nodes together. I believe that that exists for the social environment that we find ourselves in, and the edges, though the nodes are people or like things that can convey emotion, and the edges are those emotions themselves. And if this graph is cyclic in any way, which I'd assume it's highly cyclic, that means there are a lot of traversals that you can do that would lead back to your own node. And so if you put out an emotion into the world, or an idea or something, if you put some sort of energy like that through one of these edges, one of these channels, it might propagate and come back to you somehow in some weird, interesting way. I don't know. It's hard to really pinpoint exactly what it is, but that's a component of what I believe. Okay, so he goes on to say, you go on to say, it's true that people are different. Some people, the urge for complete independence is much stronger than for others, so they will suffer more than those who don't have that urge in a common 9-to-5 job scenario, and may need to find an alternative path or do their own thing. Regarding vices, yes, honesty is much better than hiding it, but I'm surprised that you avoid Microsoft because it gives you no wiggle space, and yet upload a video of yourself talking about pirating to Google. Why Google but not Microsoft? I should say, up until this point, all of my talks have been hypothetical, and when I say I pirate, I'm really just talking about hypothetically if I were a pirate. It's not that I actually pirate, because I might pirate in video games like GTA 5, but yeah, no, it would be stupid to pirate in real life. So yeah, just to clarify things, for the sake of Google and legal reasons, pirating is stupid, and I don't condone it. So only pirate in video games where it's legal and it's a virtual environment. Don't pirate in real life. Gotta drive that point home. Why Google? Yeah, you have a point. I guess Google knows my identity, and they could trace back me. They can trace back these videos to my legal identity, which is kind of scary, but like the average person isn't going to do that, and that's what I care about. Though it's not impossible, and I don't really care if an average person really looks into me. I don't know. It just is what it is. If there are like stalkers and stuff, that would not be very good. I'm sure like through these videos you could find out where I'm staying, but at the same time I'm not going to be here for very long, and I don't get many viewers, so it's not like I'm a big A-list celebrity that's going to have people stalking them. But who knows? I recommend you watching Universal Surveillance is Here - How Do We Fight Back by Eliza Orlins. It's a TEDx talk. When I warn you against downloading, it's not out of judgment, it's out of compassion, so that you don't find yourself in the future having data being used against you. You may feel confident in your own belief system now, but if this is on the internet where you become a big YouTuber and the tables may turn, and no matter what you feel and how many YouTube comments support your cause, it won't hold up in court. That's the realization that I think people on these piracy forums need to take in for their own safety. Well, you say that, but I can bring up an example like a YouTuber, Louis Rossmann, who you may have heard of. who's a big advocate for piracy, and he makes tons of videos that get millions of views where he says you should pirate this instead of using streaming services. And he doesn't face backlash because he's independently making his own money. And he has enough money to say screw you to people who are trying to get him imprisoned. So if he can fend off that, I think I'll be just fine. Because he's in way more legal crap, I should say, than I am in or will ever be in, probably. You are right about me giving more of my stuff away to others or charity, so I decide to do that, not to be better, but because it actually feels right and light, not heavy to take in your suggestion and contemplate on it. You are also right about this. Why do I need books if I never read when they could be of benefit to someone who can learn from them? I could cut down on my food budget. I could get most of my books at libraries, and the tools I don't use would suit someone who needs to do the work, needs them to do work. I guess my suggestion for myself and all others would be choose your wiggle space wisely. All the best, 1010world. That's a good comment. A lot of stuff. To talk about that last point you made, I sort of said that just to really highlight the fact that everybody is immoral to some extent, and everybody is greedy. It's within our human nature to be greedy. And nobody's not greedy. It's just people are willing to, some people are willing to acknowledge that fact, and some people are trying to hide it, but there's nothing you can do to really hide the fact that you are a terrible person, regardless of what you do. You will always be doing things that go against your own morality, because if you did things that were purely within, if you only made decisions that were within your moral compass, that were guided by your moral compass, you wouldn't have anything. You'd be homeless, and you'd be giving everything you could possibly give to those in need, because those are within your moral obligations to do so. You need to have at least some greed in order to have anything in life. I don't know how to define wiggle space in this context. Wiggle space. I guess wiggle space might be the capacity to sin, or having some sort of invitation to chaos into your life. Maybe that's it. But I'm not saying you should give more to charity, because I don't give to charity. I don't really care. I accept that I'm a greedy person, and I will help those in my circle, but if I don't really know a person and they're in need, and they're like on the other side of the world, I'm not really going to think about them. If somebody like trips and falls in the street, I will help them up, that sort of thing. But I'm not going to give everything I have, or I'm not even going to give $5 usually to somebody who really needs it, that I don't see face to face. This is makes me a bad person, and I am a bad person, and I'm living with it, because it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get emotional about it, because suffering exists in the world regardless of if I'm here or not. And I don't think personally moral obligations, actually no, I don't think moral obligations in a conventional sense really fit into my own moral philosophy. like to take the trolley problem, for example, some people would say, actually, let's do another, I'm just thinking, the trolley problem isn't a good example, but a problem where, take the trolley problem and remove the single person on the tracks. So there is a lever that you can pull. Wait, that makes no sense. Remove the 5 people on the tracks. That's what I'm gonna get at, okay? Take the trolley problem, remove the 5 people on the tracks, and so the scenario is now there's a train heading towards a single person, and you are able to pull a lever and divert it to save the person. There's no downside. I still don't think you're morally obligated to pull the lever, even though that is that's a controversial thing. Because I think everybody else would say you're morally obligated to pull that lever. But if I don't need to be in the situation, in order to save the person, I need to insert myself into the situation. I don't think it's my moral obligation to do so. I think it's great if people do that, but I think those moral frameworks, they sort of fall apart. Because then you can use the example that I gave about, everybody's morally bad because everybody falls short of their own moral obligations. Because that's assuming that there's a moral obligation to help somebody in need if you have more. You're sort of in order to give to charity, you need to insert yourself into that situation to give the money and help the person. But as greedy people, in our human nature, I don't think that those obligations exist, really. Nobody's obligated to insert themselves into a situation where they don't want to or don't feel the need to. And that makes me a bad person. That makes me a really bad person with bad moral views that go contrary to what a lot of other people believe. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. 1010world, I appreciate all your comments, and I like hearing from you. So if you disappear off the face of the world, that's all right too. You're not morally obligated to respond to my videos, but thank you for watching and the responses you've given thus far. And see you later. Take care.